Welcome to Real Estate Success DFW, the podcast where top producing agents from Dallas-Fort Worth come together to share their stories and strategies behind their success. I'm Shaune Corbett, your host, and with over 300 million sold in the local real estate market and the honor of being best of D multiple times, I know what it takes to make it in this market. Each episode, we're going to dive into the world of real estate, learning from the very best in the industry. If you're ready to level up your game, you're in the right place. Let's get started. Hey everyone, Shaune Corbett here, True West Realty Group in Dallas-Fort Worth. I've got a special guest that is operating in a similar space that I operate in, and he's got it mapped out. He's way ahead of me. I love to kind of dig in and kind of see what he is doing, and he's got some services I think some of you would really benefit from, especially if you want to get into the investor space. He's got a full service operation that covers pretty much anything and everything you want to do to get into investing in a number of markets. So, hey, Steve, how are you? We'll jump in.
Yeah, I'm doing great. I appreciate you having me as a guest today.
Yeah, for sure. And I know you do YouTubes and you do some live podcasts as well. I've actually watched a couple of those videos as well. I love it. You guys have a lot of energy, interaction. So he is your partner. Is that how y'all have it set up?
Yeah, Kevin Clayson is my business partner. We've been working together now for about 15 years. So, when we get together, do a podcast, it's pretty energetic. He's a very energetic guy and super good, on camera and on the microphone as well. And so I do a lot of color commentary. I'm kind of the technical guy. And so it's been a really great partnership.
I love it. Little thunder and lightning. You guys have definitely different approaches. He's definitely the TV host, right? He's got a lot of energy.
Yes, he does.
I'm probably more like you. I really like to get to the nut and bolts and really kind of focus on how we're going to make some money doing whatever we're doing. I like to get real specific, not to lose interest, but to kind of like, we can't just be excited about it. We actually have to make money too. So I'm a little bit more on that side. Let's do a short version of kind of what you're doing and maybe even who your target client is. That would probably be a good place to start.
Okay. So just kind of share basically what DFI is, what we do, how we do it kind of a thing.
Yeah, that'd be a great place to start.
Okay. All right. So as far as the services that we offer here, the name of my company is Done For You Real Estate USA. We've been doing this for about 15 years. We've helped our clients purchase more than 5,000 single family properties during that period of time across 10 different markets over those years. But the thing is that we're very specific. We're very intentional about what we buy, where we buy, why we buy, where we buy. And so, I call it boring real estate because it just simply works. We're buying 3-bed, 2-bath, 2-car garage type homes, middle income neighborhoods. And we've got, a whole of kind of minor details on each of the properties, when we're looking for a property. But the key to what we do is that we're not looking for a needle in a haystack. We're not looking for like the best deal out there. We're looking for what we call a purchase-worthy property, which is a property that's going to cash flow from day one. It's a property that's not very old. It's in good condition. It's in a good neighborhood, which is basically a middle income neighborhood that attracts a family or individuals who are going to take care of the property, and it's a property that a property management company is going to want to manage. And so we have a very specific kind of set of parameters that we look for in a property. And we have just found that when you purchase a property like that, it's very, very predictable. You're not going to become a gazillionaire, buying one of these homes. It's all about just kind of hitting a single, getting on base and repeating that multiple times. You do that enough times and you absolutely win the race. And so that's kind of what we do. And so, we have clients in 42 different states now, and we help our clients be able to buy at a distance. And it's a pretty unique format. We really don't call ourselves turnkey per se. It's all done for you, but it's not turnkey in the sense that, we bought the home first, we did all the rehab, placed a tenant, and then sold it to a client. That's not what we're doing. We're helping them purchase a property, on the open market, then do a little bit of rehab, then place the tenant, and then, hang on to it for 5 to 7 years typically. And it's pretty amazing what a simple single family home like that will do for you in those 5 to 7 years. Because typically you can take one, and within 5 to 7 years, you're turning it into two. And so that's kind of the premise of what we do and the types of properties that we buy.
Yeah, that opens a bunch of questions for me, just so you know, because I'm in this business as well. And I think it's fascinating that you've drilled it down to a duplicatable market or opportunity, right? I mean, it's really about we do once and we're going to continue to do it because we know what the trend is. We're not going to make 12% a year, but we might make, 7 to 8%. And we're comfortable with this ongoing, consistent opportunity.
Yeah, and I
Listen,
can talk to the numbers if you want.
yeah, no, we'll get into numbers, and I could be even shooting low, right? So when I'll tell you a little bit kind of the way I might evaluate. Do you consider year build, or do you want to stay within like, last 30 years? You have a certain point that you want to make sure you're buying within?
Yeah, we actually purchase a lot of new construction. Probably half of our deals are like brand new construction. I've got really great relationships with a number of builders. And then, yeah, typically, 15 to 20 years is old for us because we want the major systems and components to be in good condition for the 5 to 10 years that our clients own them. We don't want to be having to replace roofs and AC units and water heaters and that kind of a thing. I mean, it happens, right? Occasionally that's the case, but the goal is to have those major components in new enough condition that we don't need to do that.
So what is your expectation on, and you can draw the line if you don't want to give too much detail on some of the things, but I as your investor, do you expect 20% down? Is that what you're walking into?
We do 25% down. All of our
Okay.
clients do 25% down. The reason for that is that extra 5% will typically get you anywhere from half a point to a full point lower on your interest rate.
Okay. No, if your target market has that expectation up front and they need to have that 80 to 100,000 dollars
Yeah.
to get invested into this, at that point, you're for sure going to cash flow. But I say for sure. I could name most markets that I work in, I would actually cash flow, even in Dallas Fort Worth. And we have high interest, like a lot of people, and we have low rents, right? Our rents are almost half equivalent lifestyle. Have you ever heard anyone kind of say it like that? So
No, I've not heard that.
so think about this. So prior to COVID, I could spend 2,000 a month on rent, right? And I could find a house at $2,000 a month, and it would be equivalent type lifestyle. I wouldn't have to go that much less. I'm not going to get more, but at least I'm in the same ballpark. It'd
Hmm.
be a small step down to own a home. Now at $2,000 rent, you can't buy a $150,000 house, and you could certainly wouldn't want to live in it.
Yeah.
So you're now having to pay 3,500 a month or more to get that same lifestyle. That's a big challenge.
Yeah.
So for that investor buying, when you have monthly payments so high, it's hard to cover the rent in a lot of my in some of my areas that I sell to investors. I just tell them up front, hey, we're going to be negative. But the long haul is the benefit, right? We're making money
Yeah.
5 ways, and I tell them about some of the highlights. So that's really interesting that you focus specifically. Do you consider schools at all? Or you really just focus on 322, less than 10 years, and we're really looking at middle income?
Yeah, I mean, that's the general, right? And then we drill down and we always look at, crime rates, we look at schools, we look at all of those different factors for sure. When we're helping our clients purchase real estate, they're working with one of our what we call a designated market agent, and it's somebody who's lived in the area. They know the area, frontwards and backwards. They know where the good schools are, where the not so good schools are, and they know the right side of the train tracks to be on, so to speak. And so, you know, we're not just looking at zip codes and generally, dialing it in that way. We're working with an individual who really knows the nuances of a market and knows where not to be and where to be.
The most fascinating thing that I've heard you say is that a lot of yours are new builds. Okay. I've done this for a while, and many new builds have not only HOAs that block out investors, but new builders, a lot of them were not allowing for LLCs to purchase, or even individuals that with the intent of renting out, right? Telling them up front. So they may do a 20% loan or whatever they can structure with the actual lender for the builder. So you have a number of builder options that do not have that exclusion, and they're okay taking you in as an investor, whoever your investor is. So
Yeah.
so do you have, like I've done, and I assume you're probably more on you say middle income. It's funny because we could go back 5 years and you could be low income and buy a new build, right? You can't really do that anymore. So middle income is buying new builds now. It's not low income because
Correct.
new builds are starting so much higher than they used to because the cost of construction and the cost of, all the things that cities and things requirement of the builders is costing them a lot more. They pass on that cost. What's your thought
Yeah.
on that?
Yeah, no, that's exactly true. So our average purchase price is just under 300,000. And, as far as the builders and them, not wanting to have investors, the builders that we work with, they limit investors.
Sure.
But they have found that my buyers, my clients, they perform very well. And so that's been one of the keys over the years in building these relationships with various builders is that they know that they can count on my team, they can count on my clients, that when they go into contract, they're going to get the deal done. And that's huge for them, right? So they'll typically, our builders will typically allocate a certain percentage of a new development to investors because they don't want, and I don't want it to be like all investment. I think there are some neighborhoods like that, and I prefer to stay away from those. I like a neighborhood with a lot of owner occupied, the majority owner occupied with a few rentals sprinkled throughout. And our builders have been very, very, accommodating that way.
Sure. Well, I mean, the obvious is appreciation is a lot easier than having all solid rental. Now people actually have buy-in into the community, right? So it's kind of like, I know you probably have experience with this. I remember going on a vacation to, I think it was Breckenridge, and the a large part of the Breckenridge School District is occupied by people that own rental properties, or not rental properties, but kind of vacation homes, right? And they have voting power because they own. And that creates a problem for that school district because they don't have any invested interest. So it's some interesting things that happen when you don't have a real committed community investing in its own, benefit in future, where the kids go to the school, where they have, they get affected by the local shopping centers and things like that.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, and you mentioned that a lot of builders, they have HOAs and that kind of a thing. And I like HOAs.
I do
I
too.
know a lot of
Yes.
investors don't because it's an extra expense. But typically the HOAs that come along with the areas where we buy, they're not funding pools and, big, common centers of, for recreation and so on. They're pretty simple and the HOA fees are fairly low. But I love how they kind of police the, you know, lawns being mowed and watered and vehicles not up on posts, sitting on grass, sitting on front lawns and that kind of a thing. For that reason, I think that they can be a real benefit, especially to out of state owners.
For sure. Yeah, they'll keep an eye on the house for you, right? I mean, that's the element,
Exactly.
and it retains and it keeps some of the riffraff, people working on their car out front every day and all that craziness. So
Yeah.
I appreciate that. So you said something that we're not turnkey. I I've been trying to explore this where I may work on behalf of an investor, right? I provide the contractor, I take care of the draws, I approve everything, right? For on behalf of of the investor because they've never done it. They don't know what they can do and how much to pay and all that stuff. So I'll take it from start to finish, including staging at the end. I look at it in kind of a turnkey element where they don't have to be involved and it's being taken care of for them. Now, that's my business, right? So in new builds, you don't have to do a lot of that, obviously. You mentioned you don't call it that, you call it done for you. What would you describe if it's not turnkey? Do you have another way to kind of describe this? I've heard of a investor agent. I think I've heard that term used before, an investor agent. I don't know. What do you think would be a good way to describe that?
Yeah, I mean, the name of my business really is very descriptive, right? So we're doing 95% of the heavy lifting, and my clients are, they got to do a few things, right? They have to make some decisions, and ultimately they are accountable for the property because they own it 100%. And so the way that we've set it up is, we find, we get our clients the financing. I own a mortgage brokerage, and so we provide the financing. But prior
Instead of using the builder lender?
100%, yes.
Okay, why would you do? I'm just asking because right now builders are giving away crazy interest rates, right? crazy terms I can't compete with. So why would they come through you out of curiosity?
Yeah, because it's all done for you.
Got
Meaning,
you.
so when they come through my system, the very first thing that they do before we'll even show them a property is they get full doc pre-approved. And so we basically underwrite them before they go and even start looking. Then once they start looking, if they're buying, a new build, there are some of the builders we work with, not all of them. There's a small handful that they do have their own financing options, but there's nothing that the builder can do that I can't provide through my mortgage brokerage. In like there's nothing for free, right? In
Of
lending,
course. Yeah,
you'll
absolutely.
like builders, lenders, they all say it's like, oh yeah, we'll do this for free, or we'll get you a better interest rate. Like nobody has any better interest rates than anybody else. It's just it's a matter of what you're willing to give up front in terms of the cost of the loan.
Sure.
And and so we've been very successful at positioning, the lending that we provide to our clients in a very transparent manner and helping them understand this is how these other lenders are doing it. And at the end of the day, what you're getting with us versus what you're getting with them is essentially it's no different. It's semantics in many
So you
cases.
might
Now,
as well go with your relationship versus going with the unknown.
yeah, exactly. Because it's not just a one-off. Like, so here's the other thing. When we work with our clients, I never just helps one of my clients buy an investment property. We put together a whole game plan for them. The whole goal is for them to purchase 10 properties. That's the ultimate goal.
Over
Because
how many years?
over the course of 10 to 20 years.
Okay.
And so right out the gate, the goal is to build kind of a lifelong relationship with our clients. And so, 50% of my business every month is just repeat customers coming back again and again. 25% of it is them referring their friends and family to us. The other 25% is my marketing efforts. And so right out the gate, it's all about the relationship and the fact that we're going to be working with them long term. And so they understand that the value that we bring to the table isn't like the lowest cost provider. Like we are providing a high level of service and we are providing a high quality, experience. And we are working with our clients, for as long as they're investing in real estate. That's our goal. That's our objective. And we have a pretty good track record with that. And it kind of speaks to itself that people, they keep coming back. And part of that is after somebody purchases a property, we're not just saying, hey, I hope it, see you later. Hope it works out. If it works out, give me a call. If you have a problem, like don't call me. It's the relationship that we have with them is they're assigned a coach. And I have a property optimization manager who's working with our clients long term. So we have multiple contacts with the clients, throughout the year, but two of them are major sit downs where we analyze their properties. We do what's called a deep dive, and we do a game plan review. And we help our clients see how their properties are performing. We help them know what the next steps are when they built enough equity and cash, such that they could take that one property, take the proceeds and purchase a second property, do a cash out refi, or sell it and do 1031 exchange into two properties.
I love it. And do you have insurance as well?
Yes.
You have your own insurance company as
Yeah.
well? Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, these are incredible, right? I mean, you're basically taking care of all their needs. And yeah, you're not looking for the low cost, but you have an answer for everything, right? And you're also doing low risk propositions where the properties you're obtaining are safe. In
Yeah.
some cases are new, right? So that minimizes a lot of the risk there. Are you looking at someone that brings, let's say, 100,000, they buy their first, and they, over a period of time, using that original investment, they could expect to see 10 without having to come back and invest again? Now they could invest again, right? They could multiply their effort, or they could just say, let's start with the original.
Yeah.
And then from
Yeah.
that, we're going
Many
to
of our
draw on and
clients,
build.
yeah, many of our clients, they start out with one property and they never add additional new capital to the building of their portfolio. They take that one property, and as we do our annual game plan reviews, we're helping them see and understand. It's like, hey, if you sell this property, including all of your expenses to sell that property, and you now could sell that one and you could purchase two properties. We're not going to have them sell that property unless they can turn it into two properties. Otherwise, that would defeat the purpose. Or they could do a cash out refi, and we can show them you can pull out enough cash that you can keep that original property and now take your gain in equity and purchase a second property. And so many of our clients have built significant portfolios just from that first one property, and then they've never added new additional capital to the building of their portfolio.
Okay. This is looking back. If I were to look going forward, because I've done this already, I've actually put builders in new builds. I've kind of started realizing the opportunity there. You've been doing this a long time. The markets go up and down, they change all the time. Right now, like for example, in COVID, as a real estate agent here in Dallas Fort Worth, builders were not friendly to agents. They didn't have to be. They had a line out the door with buyers. Get in line and you're probably not going to have a chance because I can sell direct. I don't need you. And
Yep.
they were very bad to agents. So I wonder in those markets how likely they would even need to look at investors. Did you find that even throughout those periods of time where builders did not need extra opportunities, they're good just taking retail straight up? How did that impact you and your business?
Yeah. I mean, it made it more difficult in some markets with some of the builders who my relationship wasn't as long with. So one of the things that many builders, some builders don't get this, but many do, is they understand that the market cycles, and they understand that, one day the market's going to turn a little bit and they are going to need me again. They're going to need me and my lineup of buyers. And so through COVID, I was very, very fortunate to have a good handful of builders who they still were willing to sell properties to me and to my clients when they could have very well taken those properties and sold them for more retail to, just
A
buyers.
multiply, right? Right now they could sell it and maybe get two or three out of it, or just appreciate and keep it and just keep moving on down the road. It's not going to go away. They'll just keep the upside.
Yeah, so the builders they could see into the future long enough to know that they didn't want to sever their relationship with me. They didn't want to,
Gotcha.
because in the past, you know, I was what was a big part of their business. I was an important part of their business, and they didn't want to like ruin that relationship when the market turned. So they were willing to earn a little bit less on some of their properties in order to maintain that relationship with me and provide properties to my clients. And on top of that, you know, in that market where there were, it was a multiple offer situation every single time. My builders were allowing my clients to put properties under contract 2 and 3 months before they sold, even though they knew that they were going to be worth more 2 and 3 months ahead of the time. And they did that because they could see the long term, which is pretty unique. And it's because of that long-term relationship and that loyalty that I showed to them. They showed that to me. Most of them did, some didn't. And when the market turned, it's like, well, I'm not there doing business with them anymore, and they're
And they
probably
need your
looking
help,
better
right?
ways.
They need you now.
That's right.
It's like, hey, I feel the same with builders, believe me. And they know that agents are kind of coming in and out all the time, but they would cool burning bridges when they didn't need us, but now they are desperate. They've got to move all these properties, and now they're inviting and giving bonuses and all kinds of stuff, right? All right, last thing that I wanted to ask you. So I've probably got a pretty good handle of your general business model. I know there's a lot of nuances and things you've built in that make it more effective in your services. Is there any unique proposition or services or something new with the market? Or do you pretty much say, I got a boring business, I'm not really evolving it? Is there any new opportunities and things you're creating now that's, just because of either the interest coming down or builders don't have enough inventory, whatever it is? Do you have anything that's kind of happened that's really changed your opportunities coming up in the near future?
Yeah. So, I run my business fairly conservatively, and so I'm pretty careful with the offerings that I bring to my clients. But a few years ago, I started looking into like Airbnb and that kind of a thing, see if that would be good for my clients. And I think that it can be good obviously, it can be great for a lot of clients. But for my clients, it didn't make a lot of sense because they wanted to be so hands off. They're investing at a distance that it didn't make sense. But what that did when I was doing the research is it led me to another product that I have coined the term midterm rentals. So you got short-term and long-term rentals, and midterm rentals are essentially corporate rentals where, it's insurance companies that are renting them from the owner. in order to place, individuals whose homes are being repaired based on a flood or fire, that kind of a thing. And those insurance companies are willing to pay a little bit more in rent for these short-term rentals. And so I made a really great connection with a property management company. They were just super tiny. We made a connection. And so I've partnered with them, and we now offer midterm rentals to my clients. It's a little bit higher priced home, a little bit nicer, maybe one extra bedroom, an extra bath, maybe an extra garage, and just a little bit, it's just a little bit nicer home. So average purchase price is 300 to 350 instead of 250 to 300. But the rents are a little bit higher, and it's a little bit more to get in because you have to furnish and decorate the home. So it's an extra $35,000 to $40,000 on top of your down payment and other closing costs. And so instead of it being an average of $85,000 total out of pocket, it's about an average of $135,000 to $140,000 to get into this property. And so really it's the same type of property, but it's just a different strategy. And I've been doing this for a couple of years now, and it worked super effective, over the last couple of years when interest rates were higher. It provided just a higher cash flow is essentially what it boiled down to. And so that's been an innovation that we've made that my clients have been loving. It's kind of like hitting a double instead of just a single, but there's a little bit more risk and there's a little bit more money required to do it, but you also have a little bit more reward. But it's so still super conservative, but it's just a little bit more on each of those elements, and it's been working phenomenally well.
I love it. That's real smart. It's funny to me. I look at it as it's still the same model. Maybe the returns ultimately are probably pretty similar, but it's
They
kind
are.
of more fun, right? It's something
Yeah.
different. It's a little more fun, not that much more risky,
Yeah.
but still kind of fun. So I think that's pretty fascinating. So you and I will do another one. I think in the near future, we'll talk maybe about the economy and the future that's coming, right? So we have all these baby boomers that are going to have a massive excess of inventory in real estate. And there are opportunities for our business to maybe create some things for our investors, right? So I want to kind of talk a little bit about not just investing, but people that need to divest, because there's going to be quite a few. Anyway, so how do we contact you or find you?
Yeah. So you can go to my website. It's DFY, so done for you, -realestate.com. That's the best way to find out more information about my company, what it is that we do, how we do it. You feel free to email me, steve@dfy-realestate.com. I'd love to have a conversation with anyone, wanting to look into this a little bit more.
Awesome. You've been very helpful. I appreciate you, Steve. Easy to communicate with, and you've been very good to me. So I appreciate you giving me that time. So we'll connect again in the future. And that's all I got. I appreciate you. Thank you.
Awesome. Thanks, Shaune. Super, super glad that we could chat for a little bit. And thanks for having me on your podcast.
That wraps up another episode of Real Estate Success DFW. I hope you're leaving with new insights that push your real estate career forward. If you enjoyed the show, please be sure to subscribe, leave a review, or share it with fellow agents who's ready to succeed. And if you're interested in working together or have any questions, I'd love to hear from you. Reach out to me directly. My personal phone is 214-228-0383. Let's connect and make real estate success happen together. Until next time, keep pushing forward. I'm Shaune Corbett, and this is the Real Estate Success DFW. Have a high performance week.